गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट, वेलकम टू SJI ऑनलाइन क्लास। बच्चों, आज मैं आपको क्लास 8 में हिंदी साहित्य के अंतर्गत पाठ 1 हम दीवानों की क्या हस्ती नामक कविता को शाश्वत वाचन करते हुए समझाऊंगी व कठिन शब्दों का निवारण भी करूंगी। उससे पहले मैं आपको इस कविता का सामान्य परिचय देना चाहती हूँ। हम दीवानों की क्या हस्ती नामक कविता भगवती चरण वर्मा जी द्वारा रचित है। इस कविता में इन्होंने बताया है अर्थात गूढ़ रहस्यों को उजागर किया है और उन्होंने ये बताया है कि मानव इस संसार में जन्म लेता है और अपने कार्यों को पूर्ण करते हुए वह अपना जीवन त्याग देता है और इस संसार में जन्म लेने के उपरांत वह संसार से कुछ सीखता है तथा कुछ सिखाकर भी जाता है। अब मैं आपको इस कविता का व्याख्या करके समझाऊंगी। पहला पद है, हम दीवानों की क्या हस्ती है, आज यहाँ कल वहां चले। हस्ती का अर्थ होता है हैसियत। यहाँ जो दीवाने शब्द प्रयोग किया गया है तो उन सेनानियों के लिए प्रयोग किया गया है जो हमारे देश की रक्षा के लिए दिन रात तैनात रहते हैं, अर्थात वह देश के लिए अपने घर परिवार को छोड़ करके सिर्फ देशभक्ति में ही लगे रहते हैं। तो हम दीवानों की क्या हस्ती है, आज यहाँ पर कल वहां चले। अर्थात इन पंक्तियों में कवि कहता है कि दीवाने कह रहे हैं कि हमारी हैसियत क्या है, हम कभी भी एक जगह स्थिर नहीं रहते हैं, कभी एक यहाँ तैनात हैं तो कभी किसी दूसरी जगह तैनात हो जाते हैं। मस्ती का आलम साथ चला, हम धूल उड़ाते जहां चले। मस्ती का आलम, आलम का अर्थ होता है माहौल और मस्ती का अर्थ होता है हंसी खुशी। सैनिक कहते हैं कि हम जहां भी जाते हैं वहां पर हंसी और खुशी का माहौल साथ में लेते चले जाते हैं। हम धूल उड़ाते जहां चले और हमारे कदमों से उड़ने वाली धूल जो है वह एक ऐसा माहौल वहां पर बनाती है कि ये सारे लोग खुशी से अपने पथ की ओर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। आए बनकर उल्लास कभी, आंसू बनकर बह चले अभी। यहाँ पर उल्लास का अर्थ खुशी है, तो इन पंक्ति का अर्थ है कि आए बनकर उल्लास कभी, आंसू बनकर वह चले अभी। तो कवि कहता है कि वह जहां जाते हैं तो वहां पर ऐसा लगता है कि सारी खुशियां एक साथ आ गई हों, और जब वह सैनिक वहां से दूसरी ओर प्रस्थान करते हैं तो सभी के आंखों में आंसू बनकर, अर्थात जो वहां पर उनकी स्थिति थी वह आंसुओं में बहने लगती है। सब कहते ही रह गए अभी, तुम कैसे आए कहाँ चले। वहां के जो लोग होते हैं वह यही सोचते रह जाते हैं और ऐसे कहते हैं कि अभी आप आए थे और अभी आप चल दिए, अर्थात आप कहाँ से आए और कहाँ की ओर चल दिए वह उन्हें खुद भी मालूम नहीं होता है। अर्थात जहां से धरती माँ का बुलावा आता है वे उस ओर चल देते हैं। किस ओर चले मत यह पूछो, चलना है बस इसलिए चले। जग से उसका कुछ लिए चले, जग को अपना कुछ दिए चले। इन पंक्तियों में कवि कहता है कि किस ओर से आए, आप हमसे ये ना पूछे कि हम कहाँ से आए हैं और कहाँ को जाना है, बस जहाँ माता का बुलावा आता है अर्थात धरती माँ के बेटों को जहाँ बुलाया जाता है वो उस ओर चल देते हैं। जग से कुछ लिए चले, अर्थात जग से ऐसी कुछ शिक्षाएं, ऐसा कुछ ज्ञान जो उनको आगे पथ की ओर अग्रसर करेगा तो वह ज्ञान अपने साथ लेके जाते हैं। जग को कुछ अपना दिए चले और उस ज्ञान को ग्रहण करने के उपरांत वह अपने चरित्र से, वह अपने कार्य से संसार को कुछ शिक्षा देते हुए आगे मार्ग पर बढ़ते हुए चले जाते हैं। अर्थात इस पूरे पैराग्राफ में कवि ने जो दीवाने हैं अर्थात जो सैनिक हैं उनके बारे में बताया है कि वह जहां भी जाते हैं वहां पर मस्ती मतलब खुशी का माहौल बनाते हुए आगे अपने पथ पर चले जाते हैं। धन्यवाद छात्रों, आज के लिए इतना ही। मैं अपने अगले वीडियो में यह कविता जारी रखूंगी।
Hello students, have a wonderful morning to one you all. It's here for you an English teacher for this video lecture. Student, Today we will study the English language portion. In English language portion, we will study a new topic. English language, and the topic of today is noun. The topic of today is noun. Students, you know that in English language, the noun topic is very familiar to you. It's not a new topic for you. So, we have been studying this topic from your first and second class. But in this class, I will tell you thoroughly, I will give you the deep knowledge of noun. So first we will see the definition of noun. The definition of noun. So student, the definition of noun is a noun. A noun is the name of any person, place, or thing. I just repeat the definition. A noun is the name of any person, place, or thing, etc. Either you can say the examples are this one is name of any place, just like Kanpur, and any name of the person, Anjali, and anything, just like pen or pencil, etc. So student, first you look at the blackboard. A noun is the name of any person, place, or thing. So if you go through this definition, if we talk about any person, suppose that there are so many person, and if we talk about the person by its name, so just like many more names are there, just like Anjali, Rohan, Dinesh, Mukesh, Rakesh. So these all are words in the category of person. So these all are noun. And place, any place, the place where we live, the place where we live. So any place, just like name of any place, Kanpur, Lucknow, Allahabad, Calcutta, Delhi, Mumbai. So these are the name of place. And thing. Things, you can see different types of the things in your surroundings. Different types of the things in your surroundings, in your environment. Many things, just like you have different types of the things in your bag, pen, pencil, books, rubber, sharpener, lunch box, water bottle. These are the things that you kept in your bag. So these all are the things in the category of noun. These all are things in the category of noun. So student, through this definition, we come to know that any name of the person, any name of the person, not a particular name of the person, any name of the person, any name of the place, or any type of the thing. If you sit at your home, if you sit in your study room, so when you sit in your study room, you can see your surroundings. Many things are kept here and there, just like your furniture, your box, your almirah, your cupboard, and your fan. So these are the things in the category of thing. And many are the things we find in the kitchen, many are the things we find in the office. So all types of the things, all types of the things. Student, we can say all the things that are presented in the world. All the things that are presented in the world, these are in the category of noun. These are in the category of noun. It means to say everything we can name the noun. So the simple definition is this, that a noun is the name of any person, place, or thing. But a very thoroughly definition, a very good definition for you, that naming words are noun. Naming words are noun. Naming words are noun. So after going through this definition, after teaching this thing to you, I just want to tell you the kinds of noun. The kinds of noun. So student, you have to learn this definition, and after learning this one, after coming to know this definition, you have to know the types of the pronoun. The types of the pronoun. So I am writing here types of noun. Types of noun. Types of noun. The first one is proper noun. The first one is proper noun. Fine. The first one is proper noun. Proper noun means the particular name of any person, place or thing. The particular name of any person, place or thing, or the special name of any person, place or thing. Just like, you know that in the noun category, we have already taught you that person, place or thing comes, but if there is a particular name of place, if there is a particular name of person, if there is a particular name of thing, so these are in the category of noun. Particular name of person means, particular name of person you can say Rohan. Fine. So Rohan is a proper noun because it's a special name of a person. It's a special name of the person, so it's a proper noun. What's the meaning of the special name? There are so many students in the class, there are 40 students in the class, but Rohan is only one. Rohan is only one. This name specifies the boy. And if there is a name Anjali, Anjali, fine. So Anjali is also a proper noun because it's a special name of a girl. It's a particular name of a girl. So noun is the name of any person. Noun is the name of any person. Your definition clears from here. Anjali is a proper noun. And if the name of any place, just like Lucknow, fine. So it's a particular name of a city. There is a particular name of city. Kanpur is a particular name of city. And thing, just like thing. The thing is that Rotomap pen. Fine. So pen, what is pen? Pen is a thing. Pen is a thing. But if we talk about the name of this pen, so that is the proper noun. So student, the thing is that if I tell you the thing, if I tell you the person, if I tell you the place by their names, so these are in the category of noun. These are in the category of proper noun. Just like you can say the example, Anjali is a good girl in my class. So Anjali is a proper noun. Rohan is an intelligent boy in my class. Fine. Lucknow is the capital of UP. Rotomap is a pen that writes very well. Fine. So these are the examples for you so that you come to know that what is proper noun. So student, you have to learn, you have to make a list of the proper noun. Then after, you have to know the second one, that is the common noun. That is the common noun. Fine. Common noun. Common noun is in the category of the noun, but here it does not specify the thing. It does not specify the person. It does not specify the place. Suppose that the sentence is, there are 60 students in the class. There are 60 students in the class. So students, what is a student? Student common, because it's a common. Many students are there. There is no particular quality. So student common. And boys. Boys common noun. Girls common noun. Fine. So these are in the category of the common noun because it's not the particular name of person, place or thing. It's not the particular name of the person. Many student, there's a common thing. Many boys, there's a common thing. Many girls, it's a common thing. Fine. And cities. Cities, countries. Fine. So cities, there are so many cities, there are so many countries. Cities, countries, villages, etc. Fine. So these are the common place. Cities, countries, villages. And one more thing is that if we talk about the thing, just like pen, books, and notebooks, etc. Fine. So these are the common noun. Students, boys, girls, cities, countries, villages, pen, books, notebooks. These are the common noun. So after these two we will proceed to the third one. And the third one is, what is the third one? Third one is your collective noun. Third one is your collective noun. Student, you know what is the meaning of the collective? What is the meaning of the collection? The third one is collective noun. Collective. The word collective has been come from the collection. The word collective has been come from the collection. It means to say when there is a group of thing. There is a group of thing, that is the collective noun. Suppose that the students are sitting in class. The students are sitting in class. So class, what is class? Class is your collective noun because it's a group of the student. Army. Army is a collective noun because it's a group of the soldier. So student, whenever you find the collection of person, whenever you find the collection of person, that is your collective noun. Many more examples are there. And the fourth one is material noun. The fourth one is material noun. Material means the thing, the substance by which we prepared something. By which we prepared something. So material noun, in material noun we use the thing, the material that we use to prepare something. Just like wood is used to prepare furniture. And milk is used to prepare sweets and other things like this. So wood and milk, curd, silver, gold, etc. So student, these are the things that are in the category of the material noun because we use these things to prepare something. We use these things to prepare something. Fine. And the last one is your abstract noun. Abstract noun. Abstract. abstract means a thing that you cannot see. The thing that you cannot see, a thing, such type of the thing that you cannot touch. It means to say the thing that you can only feel. That you can only feel. That is the abstract noun. That is the abstract noun. So student, your abstract noun comes from your adjective. Your abstract noun comes from your adjective. And everyone has adjective. Everyone has adjective in himself. Suppose that many students in the class, so every student has some particular quality. Suppose that someone is honest, someone is stupid, someone is foolish, someone is naughty, someone is intelligent. So these adjective can be transferred into abstract noun. Can be transferred into abstract noun. Suppose that there is a word intelligent. Suppose that there is a word intelligent. Rohan is an intelligent boy in the class. So what is the abstract noun of intelligent? Intelligence. 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 So student, intelligence is your abstract noun because intelligence is a word that you cannot touch, that you cannot see, but you can only feel. If someone has intelligence, it means that person is intelligent. Fine. And the another one is beautiful. Beautiful. And the next one is beautiful is your adjective. You have to write over here the abstract noun of it. So the abstract noun of beautiful is beauty. Is beauty. Fine. So beauty is your abstract noun. And another one is suppose that someone is sincere. Someone is sincere. So sincerity. Sincerity is your abstract noun. So student, these are the words that come in the category of the abstract noun because you cannot touch them, you cannot see them, but you can only feel them. Fine. So this is your noun chapter. Today I taught you the introduction and the types of the noun. I hope so that you have got this video lecture and it's enough for today. Thank you and have a nice day to one you all.
Welcome students in your online classes, and today we will be starting our new chapter, that is number system. In that it will be rational numbers. As this is the first class of your class 8, I would like to congratulate you all into coming and passing the class 7th. Okay, now we will be dealing with the kinds of numbers. Into the kind of number, the first category is natural numbers. Natural numbers. We all are very much aware about the natural numbers. This is not a big deal to understand that all the numbers starting from 1 and going to the positive and other infinity are termed to be as the natural numbers. For example, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dash 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 till the positive and other infinity. This range is termed to be as the natural number. This is a very basic kind of idea. I would be not taking much time in teaching all such kind of things. Coming to the next category, that is whole numbers. Whole numbers. This is also a very easy concept. You all have already studied it. That is, all the numbers starting from 0 and going to the positive end of the infinity is termed to be as the whole numbers. In other words, if I would be saying, it is called the set of natural numbers along with 0. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, dash 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 going to the positive end of the infinity. This set of numbers is termed to be as the whole numbers. This is a very basic kind of idea regarding natural numbers and whole numbers. The third category is integers. The third category is integers. As far as integers are concerned, you have studied it in the first, that is in class 6th. Integers are nothing but the set of negative natural numbers, 0 and positive natural numbers. In other words, if I would be telling, that is negative natural numbers along with all the whole numbers. For example, minus infinity, coming back to minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3 and dash 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 going to the positive infinity. That is all the numbers from minus infinity to the positive infinity is termed to be as the integers. So this natural number, whole number and integer, they were really required to be understood in order to understand the concept of rational numbers. Coming further into the category, we will be starting with the fractions. We'll be starting with the fractions. What are fractions? Anything which is written in the form of P upon Q, or you could say A upon B, is termed to be as fraction. This is a very basic kind of idea. You all are very much aware of this concept. That is P upon Q or A upon B. This form is termed to be as fraction. This is not big deal in understanding this thing. Okay, we'll be dealing with the original kind of thing, that is rational numbers. And before starting rational numbers, you should also understand the thing of decimals. Anything which could be written in the form of fractions could also be transformed in decimals. For example, if you're writing 1 upon 2, further if we divide 1 with 2, the answer would be 0.2. This 0.2 is a decimal number, and decimal number has a definite value as like a fraction. Further, if we classify decimals into the two categories, that is recurring or non-recurring, or we could say, which is in our syllabus, that is terminating decimal or non-terminating decimal. 1 upon 2 has given us the value 0.5, sorry. 1 upon 2 has given the value 0.5. That is a terminating decimal because we will not be getting any further value after 0.5. Next, if you are writing 1 upon 3, it would be 0.3333, and there will be the no end of this repeating decimal. Therefore, this kind of decimal is termed to be as the non-terminating decimal, because this decimal will not be terminate. It will never terminate. This 333 will be continue till the n times, but here this 0.4 will not be have any further value. So I hope you are very much clear with the thing. The two kinds of decimal, first is terminating decimal and the other is non-terminating decimals. I will be adding some kind of things along with the rational number, that is all the terminating or non-terminating decimals come into the category of rational numbers. These all things were very much important in order to understand what are rational numbers. Now coming originally to the rational number. What are rational numbers? Just like fractions, we all have already studied, rational numbers are also same as fractions. As I have told you, P upon Q is a form of fraction, and same goes with the rational numbers. P upon Q is also the form of rational number. Therefore, we could say that all the fractions would come into the category of rational number. But there is a exception, or we could say limitation to this concept. That is, if anything is written in the form of P upon Q, but if Q is equal to 0, if we put Q is equal to 0, it would be P upon 0, and P upon 0 is not defined. That is, P upon 0 is not defined. I have already mentioned in the previous part of the lecture that anything which has the definite value will come into the category of rational number, but here P upon 0 is not defined. It does not have any definite value, hence this would be coming into the category of irrational number. So P upon Q is rational until Q is equal to 0. If the Q will be equal to 0, the answer would be not defined and hence it would be irrational. For example, if I am writing 1 upon 3, it is rational. Next example, if I am writing 1 upon 5, it is also rational. But if I am writing 3 upon 0, it will be irrational. It will not be coming into the category of rational numbers. This is the basic idea regarding the rational numbers. After discussing this kind of things, I would be dealing with some properties of rational number. Property 1. Property 1 of rational number, that is called the property of multiplication. Suppose there is a rational number p upon q and we are multiplying p with the same number m and the same number m with q as well. But the condition is m should not be equal to 0. M should not be equal to 0. If I am multiplying p with the number m and I am multiplying q with the same number m where m is not equal to 0, then the answer which will be coming out will be equivalent rational. Equivalent rational number. This will be more clear with the help of an example. That is, if I am writing 3 upon 2 and I am multiplying this 3 with the same number 5 and I am multiplying this 2 with the same number 5, the result would be 15 upon 10. So this result will be equivalent. This result will be equivalent rational number to 3 upon 2. That was our original rational number. So from here we could come to a conclusion that if any rational number multiplied with the same non-zero integer, then the answer which will be coming out will be equivalent to the original rational number. Okay. This was the property number 1. Then property number 2. Property number 2. Same as multiplication, it also follows with division. If p upon q is a rational number and we are dividing this p upon q with the same divisor m, then the answer which will be coming out will also be a equivalent rational number. With the help of example we will be dealing with. Suppose the rational number was 12 upon 15 and if we are dividing the number with the same divisor 3, then the answer which will be coming out, that is 4 upon 5, this will be equivalent rational to 12 upon 15. That is 4 upon 5 will be the equivalent rational with 12 upon 15. That is the property number 2. First was the property of multiplication and second is the property of division. I hope this is very much clear because this is a very easy kind of ideas you have already studied. This is the end of the basic things regarding the rational numbers. Before I wrap up the first lecture of this class, I would be like to telling you certain kind of basic kind of ideas regarding the rational number. That is, all the properties which are followed by the fractions will be automatically followed by the rational numbers. That is, in fractions we used to add 1 upon 2 plus 1 upon 5. For that we used to take the LCM and all. You are very much aware of the concept. Same will be applied on rational numbers as well. Like if you are provided with add two rational numbers 1 upon 2 and 1 upon 5, then you are not required to be confused because I have already told you that these rational numbers follows the property of fractions. So you will be adding both of the numbers according to the thing you are supposed to be doing in fractions. Same goes for subtraction, same goes for multiplication. Okay. Another key point, and it will be called as the key point of the class. This is the last and key point of the class. That is, if you are provided with a upon b is equal to c upon d, then according to the properties of fraction, it would be a into d will be equal to b into c. You all have to remember this property which is followed by the fraction and here as well as for the rational number. This is called the key point of the class. So meet in the next class with all the questions. Hope you'll be revising all these kind of things and you'll be preparing well for your next class. Thank you.
Hello students, welcome to Shivaji Group of Institutions. Students, I am your physics teacher Santosh Shah. Students, now we will learn our first chapter of class 8, which is matter. And this chapter is divided into 2 units. Unit first and unit second. Unit first is states of matter on the basis of kinetic theory of matter. And second unit is change of state in kinetic theory of matter. Now, today we will learn unit first. Now let's see what is the outcome of today's class. First we will learn what is matter. Second we will learn types of matter. And third we will learn particle nature of matter. So these are the 3 main topics which we will learn today. So let's see what is matter. Students, there are various materials around us such as table, chair, wood, iron, water, milk, oxygen, nitrogen and various other gases. So there are mainly 2 properties of these substance or matters. The first one is all the materials occupy some space, and the second, all the materials have some mass. So by conclusion we can say the definition of matter is anything which occupies space and have mass is called matter. Now, there are second topic is types of matter. There are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. The main properties of solid is it has definite shape. It has definite shape and definite volume. In case of liquid, it doesn't have definite shape. But have definite volume. And in case of gas, it has neither definite shape nor definite volume. So solids have definite shape and volume. Liquids doesn't have definite shape. In which container it is kept, it takes the shape of that container. and it doesn't have, but it have definite volume. And in case of gas, gases have neither definite shape nor definite volume. Now we will learn particle nature of matter. So, students, the basic building block of a matter is an element. It means every matter is made up of elements. Now, if a matter is made up of same kind of elements, then these are called atoms. If matter is made up of same kinds of elements, then it is called atoms. And if a matter is made up of different kind of elements, then it is called molecules. Now, what is the definition of element, atoms and molecules? An element is defined as the smallest unit of matter which cannot be subdivided into two or more parts by any other means or by any chemical means. And definition of atoms is, atom is the smallest unit of element which may or may not have its separate existence, but it takes part in every chemical reaction. And what is molecules can be explained as, it is the smallest unit of an element which has its independent existence and it retains all the physical and chemical properties of the matter. Thank you, class.
Hello student, myself Jyoti Singh from Shivaji Group of Institute. Welcome to my online classes. This is class 8, subject is chemistry, and today I am going to start chapter first, that is matter. So first, what is matter? Student, anything which around us is matter. Anything which occupies space and have mass and can be perceived our physical sense is known as matter. What is matter? The wall around us is matter. The chair in which we sit is matter. The air which used for breathing is matter. The book which we read is matter. This marker, this board is matter. Even our body is matter. So what is matter? Matter is anything which have mass and occupies space and also which can be perceived by our physical sense. It means we can able to touch it, we can able to feel it, and we can able to see it. Okay. The characteristics of matter, it means matter have volume, matter must have volume, matter must have mass, matter must have weight, and matter must be perception by our physical sense. So I hope you understand what is matter. What is matter? Matter is anything which occupies space and have mass. There are various examples which explain what is matter. Student, what are the states of matter? In previous classes, you all know that what are the states of matter. There are 3 states of matter, that is states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gases. These 3 are the states of matter which can be represented by diagram. In solid state, all the particles present in solid state have no space to each other. Solid is rigid in nature and it can be represented as, it is the structure of solid state. In liquid state, there is some space it can be represented as, and in gaseous state there is huge space in between the particles of gases. It can be represented as, this is gaseous state. The space present in between the particles is known as interparticle space. So in solid state there is no interparticle space. It means that's why solids are rigid in nature and they have fixed shape. In liquid state, there is some space in between the particle. That space is known as interparticle space. That's why they does not have fixed shape, but their volume is fixed. In the case of gaseous state, there is no zero interparticle. There is huge space and zero interparticle attraction in between the particles. So they does not have fixed volume and also fixed shape. Student, these three are the states of matter. I hope you understand what is matter and what are the states of matter. In next video, I will explain kinetic theory of matter. This theory explains the properties and characteristics of matter. Thank you.
Good morning students, welcome to Shivaji Group of Institutions online classes, and this is your biology class. Today I am going to start the chapter first, transportation of water and minerals in plant. So students, transport of water and minerals in plants. Students, what is transport? When you listen a word transport, what is the first thing that strike in your mind? The first thing that strike in your mind when you listen the word transport is move from one place to another by a means of vehicle. That is the first thing that strike in your mind. Is it right? Yes. So generally we move from one place to another, like from our home to our office, from our home to our school by a means of vehicle. So this is the transport or transportation in general. But if you talk about the transportation in plants, transportation plants. So what is the transportation in plants? First of all, what is the basic need of any living organism? The basic need of any living organism is water, oxygen and food. This is the basic need of any living organism. But if you talk about the green plants, so what is the basic need of green plants? Is a carbon dioxide, water, minerals, food. Okay, this is the basic need of green plants. So these substances are moved from one place to another by is called transportation. So transportation in plants refer to carrying out substances like food, water, minerals from one part to another in plant body. So this is the transportation in plants, carrying out substance like food, water, mineral from one part to another in plant body. This is the transportation in plants. So how these substances obtained by the plant? First is water. Water is absorbed from the soil through the roots. The water is absorbed from the soil through the roots, and minerals also absorbed from the soil through the roots. And food. Food is prepared in the leaves. But all the plant part need food, so these are transported from leaf to other part of the plant. Only root absorb water and minerals from the soil, but all the parts of the plant needed this water and minerals. And especially for the production of food, these water and minerals are needed for the leaves. So these water and minerals which are absorbed from the soil through the roots are transported from roots to other parts of the plant. So these substances are transported or conducted from water and minerals are conducted from root to other parts to aerial parts of the plant. Food is conducted from leaf to the other parts of the plant body. So this transportation or this conduction is called transportation in plants. So students, this is the transportation in plants, and we will discuss about the different method of transportation in our next class. Thank you students. Have a nice day.
A very good morning students. Myself Aarti Avle, Geography teacher of Shivaji Group of Institution. Today I am going to teach Geography first chapter, Representation of Geographical Features for class 8. Now let us start the chapter. First, as you all know students, the earth's surface is uneven, made up of hills, valleys, mountains which are varying in their height and elevation from the sea level. तो आपको पता है कि अर्थ सरफेस हमारी कैसी है, अनइवन है. कहीं पे स्टीप स्लोप है, कहीं जेंटल स्लोप है. द अर्थ सरफेस इज नॉट इवन. द टोटल टेरेन इज कॉल्ड फिजिकल लैंडस्केप. So it can be represented on the map different methods, through different methods. There are some methods which are used to represent relief on the map. Now I am describing these methods one by one. So surveying is considered as a part of science of map making. जो सर्वे मैप्स होते हैं वो क्या कंसिडर करते हैं बच्चों? पार्ट ऑफ साइंस ऑफ मैप मेकिंग. Based upon objectives, survey maps may be archaeological. Archaeological means the study of past based upon objects and parts of buildings that are found in the ground. Geological means the study of rocks and the way they are formed. Topographical are large scale maps. They show both features, natural features and man-made features, and they are drawn on large scale. Cadastral are also large scale maps, and they give full details of property and buildings and military and tourists. So based upon objectives, survey maps may be archaeological, geological, topographical, cadastral. Since topographical maps are large scale maps, इन सभी मैप में topographical जो मैप होते हैं बच्चों वो large scale मैप होते हैं, which shows a great deal of details of an area. So hence in topographical survey, actual survey is carried out and different methods are used to show the relief on the map. तो इन सभी मैप में टोपोग्राफिकल मैप में बच्चों एक्चुअल सर्वे आता है और सभी मेथड यूज किए जाते हैं. कौन से मेथड हैं? फर्स्ट हैशरिंग, हिल शेडिंग, फॉर्म लाइंस, स्पॉट हाइट्स, ट्रायंगुलेशन मेथड, एंड नाउ लास्ट इज बेंचमार्क्स. Now first, hashing. direction of a slope, कि whether the slope is gentle or whether the slope is steep. But the disadvantage of hexadecimal is that it gives no indication of actual height from the sea level, and both the high plateau region and low level ground. So this is the advantage of the hexadecimal. This is the picture of hexadecimal. You can see in this picture these are short lines that are called hexures. Now next method is hill shading. हिल शेडिंग shows relief by light and shade. तो हिल शेडिंग में हम रिलीफ को कैसे देखते हैं बच्चों? लाइट एंड शेड. Light and shade. Two methods are adopted for this purpose. First, the light is imagined vertically over the area being mapped. For steep slopes are drawn by dark shading and the level ground. Then the high or low are unshaded. तो बच्चों क्या होता है? स्टीप स्लोप्स क्या होती है? हमारी डार्क शेडेड होती है, और हाई और लो ग्राउंड क्या होता है? अनशेडेड होता है. Now second method is a light is imagined to be shining from southeast so that the facing slopes of northwest are darkly shaded. Then the facing slopes of south ईस्ट was light shaded. तो इसमें क्या होता है बच्चों? जो साउथ ईस्ट की जो हमारी स्लोप्स होती हैं वो लाइट शेडेड होती हैं, बाकी जो नॉर्थ वेस्ट की हमारी स्लोप्स होती हैं वो डार्क शेडेड होती हैं. दिस इज द पिक्चर ऑफ हिल शेडिंग. नाउ नेक्स्ट, बोथ द मेथड्स गिव जनरल आइडिया ऑफ relief of the country, but the disadvantage of hill shading is same that the disadvantage of hedge shading. Hill shading का भी जो disadvantage है वो same है hedge shading की तरह, कि it does not give any idea of actual height of the places, and nobody knows very well whether the land is sloping uphill or downhill. मतलब दोनों मेथड से हमको एक्चुअल हाइट नहीं पता चल पाती उस प्लेस की, और उस प्लेस की स्लोप कैसी है, जेंटल है या स्टीप है. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज फॉर्म लाइंस. फॉर्म लाइंस आर ब्रोकन लाइंस. इनको हम लोग ब्रोकन लाइंस भी कहते हैं. ब्रोकन लाइंस बट शो ओनली approximate height from the sea level, as they are used to indicate elevation of the area which are not accessible for proper survey. So they are drawn as a broken lines and are called form lines. देखिए आप इस पिक्चर में देख सकते हैं, you can see in the picture these are form lines and they are drawn as a broken lines, so they are called form lines. Now next method is spot heights. Look at the sample survey. The height of the area is shown with numbers. So look at the sample survey. There are some numbers which are placing in the map that indicates the actual height of the place. For example, if the height of the place is 60 meter, it is written as .60. अगर किसी प्लेस की हाइट हमारी 60 मीटर है तो उसको हम लोग कैसे लिखेंगे बच्चों? .60. You can see the picture of the spot heights. The spot heights are the actual height of the area from the mean sea level. समुद्र तल से किसी भी एरिया की एक्चुअल हाइट को किससे शो किया जाता है? स्पॉट हाइट से. Now next method is triangulation method. Triangulation method. In this method, the height of place is fixed using trigonometry. Trigonometry means होता है the type of mathematics that deals with the relationship between the sides and angles of the triangles. Now, in this method, it is shown with triangle on a map with number beside it. This is a picture of triangulation method. You can see triangle are shown in a map and with number beside it. There are some numbers in a triangle. So this is a picture of triangulation method. Now next, last method is benchmarks. Benchmarks are called permanently survey points and shows and indicates the height of the place from main sea level. So these are the methods that show the relief or represent the relief on the maps. Now that's all for today. I will continue this chapter in my next video. Thank you for attending the class.
Hello everyone, this is your computer class, chapter 1, operating system of class 8. Okay student, in this chapter we discuss what is the operating system. Computer system, student, you know very well. Computer system consists of two components. First is consists of two components. First is hardware and second is software. What is the hardware? The tangible and physical part of the component. Tangible and physical part of the computer system is called hardware. That means which components we can see and touch it are called hardware. All the electronic, electrical and mechanical part of the computer system are called hardware. For example, keyboard. Keyboard we can touch it, we can see it. Printer, monitor, etc. Okay student. Now second is, what is the software? A set of programs. What are software? Software is a set of programs which perform a specific task. Okay student, what is the software? Software is a set of program which perform a specific task. We cannot see it, we cannot touch it, we can only see it. Okay. There are two types of software. First is system software and second is application software. Okay. In this, now, what is the system software? In computer system, hardware operate with the help of software. This is the need of software. Okay. What is the system software? System software is a set of programs. All the software is a combination of softwares. Programs, sorry. So what is the system software? System software is a set of, first is, it is a set of programs. It controls what can do system software. System software can do work related to the system. System means computer. It can control all over resources and their activities of computer system. Student, clear? That means सिस्टम सॉफ्टवेयर की जो है वो क्या काम करता है? सिस्टम सॉफ्टवेयर आपके जितने भी रिसोर्सेज है, दैट मीन्स कि इन कंप्यूटर सिस्टम से रिलेटेड से अटैच जितने भी रिसोर्सेज लाइक कीबोर्ड, माउस, इन सब को कंट्रोल करता है एंड उसकी एक्टिविटीज को जो है वो मैनेज करता है. ओके. एंड थर्ड है ऑल द एप्लीकेशन सॉफ्टवेयर run all the application software like MS Word, MS Office, MS Word, Excel, DBMS software, like any other software run with the help of system software. All the application software run on the computer with the help of system software. With the help of system software. Clear, student? Now, in this chapter, what is the example of system software? Example of system software is operating system, second is language translator, linker and loader, etc. Okay. In this chapter, we discuss operating system. Operating system क्या होता है? What is the operating system? First is operating system is the example of system software. It is an integrated set of programs that manage and control overall the resources of computer system. It manages all the activities of computer system. It acts as an interface between computer and the user. Suppose that first is it is a system software. It control and manage all over activity of the computer system. It controls all the resources of computer system. Okay. First is control and manage all our activities of the computer system. Is control all the resources. That means all the attached input output system of the computer system. It controls their activity of the computer system. And the last point is it acts as an interface between user and computer. That means it behaves like a bridge between user and computer. You see in this structure, this is the operating system structure of the computer system. This is the hardware. Last inner portion, hardware. Second is the operating system. Application software. In outermost layer is user. You see हार्डवेयर एंड यूजर के बीच में इन बिटवीन रिसाइड ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम which act as an interface between user and the hardware. That means your operating system behave like a bridge between user and the hardware. Okay student, I think this is clear all of you. Thank you. Have a nice day.